What's your initial reaction to the Midwest region?
It's the same reaction I have every year. Like, are you kidding me? That's what I initially thought. Obviously, I think it's very difficult. But you look at it. I think they're everybody in the tournament could probably say the same thing. That's very difficult. And it's been my experiences in all the years when you think you've kind of figured something out, it never plays out that way. So I'm not going to fret or be disappointed at all, because I think everybody in the field could make, all the one seeds probably say, are you Villanova? Are you kidding me? Look who we got to go against, or whoever. So we're happy that we were a one seed. I'm not sure that's a huge advantage. We're obviously happy that we get to stay fairly regional with our travel, especially going down to Tulsa in the first weekend, and hopefully play well and win a 4-game tournament. Well, really a 4-team tournament. Really, it's 5-team right now, but it'll be a 4-team tournament, and that's our only focus. So, and that needs to. I'm sure that's the focus of everybody in the field.
Do your assistants go scout live in Dayton? Do they go?
No. They don't allow you to do that anymore. I'd have to double check to see if you can, because in the in conference tournament, that's a great question, and I do not know the answer. But in conference tournaments or a tournament, you're allowed to scout, be there the game before, and certainly in the NCAA tournament, you're allowed to do that as well. But I don't know about traveling. I'm not sure about that, because they eliminated travel to scout many years ago. So that's something that we will look into. I'm glad you brought that up. That's Josh, smartest thing you've ever asked in all the time that I've known you. So.
What do you think of being the number 2 overall and Villanova number 1?
I didn't really pick that up. Did they say that we were the number 2? I didn't watch the show after our deal came out. So
I heard that.
Yeah, number 2 overall.
So that's true. I think that's good. I'm not sure what it means now, but the guys certainly played at a high level for the most part all year long. And of course, we didn't play particularly well in our last game and didn't guard. But I'm not sure that that's the worst thing that's happened to us either, because it's been my experiences. Sometimes it's not a bad thing to be able to kind of refocus your guys going into the tournament.
Landon said you guys got better the last couple of days.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. When the coach acts like a maniac, you probably try a little harder or whatnot. But I do think there's some things that we have to tighten up. Our ball screen defense was bad against TCU, and obviously rebounding. Because when you play 4 little guys like we did against TCU, it is an excuse if somebody out rebounds. It's never an excuse. You got to be tougher and more competitive, and certainly defensive rebounding and ball screen defense are probably about the 2 most important things we have to get better at going into the tournament.
Devontae, no problems in practice?
Yeah, he practiced yesterday and today. Yeah, absolutely no problems. I can't comment to if he's sore at all, but no limitations at all.
Right. What do you know about your 2 possible opponents?
Not much. I know Jim, obviously from going way back, and then of course he had probably one of the biggest wins of his coaching career against us. When he coached Bradley, and he beat us in the opening round in Detroit, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Larry? Was it Detroit?
Yes.
I think it was, and so obviously they had a great year, won a huge game last night, and then I watched North Carolina Central play earlier in the year, and just flipping channels, and I could be wrong on this. I think it was Ohio State. I haven't studied their schedule. And I'm thinking, God dang, they're going to win this game, at Ohio State, unless I'm totally screwed up, and I could be. So it may have been somebody else, but I've watched them play, and I've got to go back or we've got to go back and really study them hard. But I do think it's a little bit of a disadvantage not knowing who you're going to play the first game. So, but you know, obviously other teams have to do the same thing as well.
Does it help them? I mean, obviously none of these teams have won, but does it help the winner to have played a game? Seems to help the 11 seeds and the 12 seeds.
I actually think that's a pretty good point. I actually think in conference tournaments it helps too. You know, sometimes you come out and it didn't really hurt us against TCU because, you know, we came out and we shot the ball real well early and got a double-digit lead. So that wasn't it in that particular game. But I do think sometimes having a win under your belt kind of takes the pressure off a little bit.
Any thoughts on the Big 12 flavor in the Midwest region?
I was really surprised. Not saying wrong, but I was really surprised that they put, not that they put Iowa State in with us. I think that's fine, but they did it if both teams advanced, that it could happen in the Sweet 16 rather than later on. So that surprised me, but you know, they changed the format, if I'm not mistaken, and Larry knows better than me, that the format now is they're going to keep conference teams away from each other till the Sweet 16. So I mean, they followed their guidelines, but that one was a little bit of a surprise to me. And of course, both teams have to play well the first weekend to even have a chance to play each other. But I thought that was kind of different.
Was it about what you thought for the Big 12?
Getting 6 in, yeah, I was happy. I was pleasantly happy, surprised, not surprised at all, but I thought the K-State situation, to me, when USC got in, I thought, oh my gosh, somebody is getting left out. And I thought it could potentially be K-State because I thought Syracuse would get in. So just, and that's going by what the pundits have all said. So I was really happy to see, and I know you may not believe this, but I was actually to see our league get another team. So, and the fact that he gets, play, Bruce gets a chance to play Danny, I think makes for a little interesting twist as well in that play-in game.
Landon said he was kind of going back and watching some old games, and he said something he noticed with the 08 team was that when everyone like checked into a game, they were really ready to play in that moment. Is that kind of something you notice about your better tournament teams? Is that there's something like that?
First of all, we subbed a lot more back then, so there were more opportunities to look ready to play. When guys are playing 35 minutes, you only take them out once a game, so that may be something. But that may be true. When I watch old footage, I usually don't watch how the body language is when we check in. That's not my focus from 2008. But Landon's ahead of the curve, so that may be something he studies.
When you see this program like Syracuse out of the tournament or Michigan State playing an 8-9 game, does it provide more of a context about how consistent your team has been at being a high seed?
It probably does, but we've been a high seed, and we've also not taken advantage of being a high seed too. So, and then you look in that potential matchup if you advance past the first game of Miami and Michigan State, and you say, well, didn't Miami beat Duke? And then you look at Michigan State and you say, well, hadn't he been to 7 or whatever, 8 Final Fours or whatever? So I personally didn't feel a ton of comfort, or warm feelings by seeing that, because I think either way it's a hard first weekend without question.
You had that last year with UConn too, and Landon said he thought it helped. It was good for your guys.
You know what? One thing that I do think is good, and not that it'll play out this way throughout the bracket if we're fortunate enough to advance, but what is immediately in front of us are Power 5 conference teams. If you look back at our, we've obviously lost different ways in the tournament, but you think about it, and you say, well, Missouri Valley's been a thorn in your side, or Bucknell, and the fact of the matter is that it's going to be the first game isn't as well-known game, obviously, but if you're fortunate enough to advance, you're going to be playing people that obviously it is well-known, and players will recognize names on the other teams and that kind of stuff.
You mentioned Dan, you guys got Jank and Joe, and you feel like you've been around long enough to have a coaching tree having that much success?
Yeah, we actually had a lot more coaches that were head coaches 10 years ago, and not as many now. But it's exciting to me because I think all of those guys have a serious chance to advance. I thought Jank really got a disservice by being a 6th seed. I think they're a lot better than that. I watch them play, and you know, it's hard for me to see how a team that's ranked 12th in the country could be a 6th seed. And it was very, very similar. You know, when we played Northern Iowa, you know, many years ago, I think they were 28-1 or 28-2, and they're in the 8-9 game, and they're ranked 13th in the country or whatever. So I don't know who they could potentially play. I think it's Baylor, if I'm not mistaken, if they both win their first round game, and that's a tough. I mean, that's 2 top 15 teams in the country playing each other in the opening weekend.
Has Danny Manning been in touch with you in the last hour about K-State?
We text back and forth, but not details. No, we text back and forth about you know, congratulations and happy for you and all those things. It's pretty remarkable. You know, it's one thing when you go into a league that the program is down, and in order to get in the NCAA tournament, you're going to have to win some games against Duke or Louisville or Syracuse or North Carolina or whoever it is, Florida State, in order to have a chance to play in it. And in 3 short years, they've been able to do that. So their staff has done a great job.
Any thought about the streak of 28 straight bursts as a record?
No.
Okay.
I haven't thought of that. But you know, Danny, that may have been something he was alluding to a little bit, the consistency of having your team in the mix. You know, there's no guarantee you're ever going to play well. There's no guarantee you're for sure going to advance. There's no guarantees, but it is nice to know that you're going to be in the game. And that's something that this program's been able to do consistently for a long time, well before me.
Have you ever not taken it for granted? Of getting that NCAA tournament berth?
You know, that I'd say you take for granted sometimes if you know you're getting in, but you don't take for granted the rush. You don't take for granted the excited about the seed or the matchups or who you're going to play. But you know, I'm not going to. You know, we probably knew that we were going to be in the tournament. You know, by mid-February, I would think there would have to be a lot of things not happen well if you win your league not to get in. So I think getting in sometimes you may assume if you have a good year, but you don't ever assume or take anything for granted after that. It's a special time, and you know, I told our guys, I think this is the 7th time in 11 years we've been a 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Shay? Yep. And the other 3 of the 4 we were 2, and the crappy year we were a 3. I mean that's pretty consistent. I mean that's pretty consistent, but still it doesn't. You know, all you do, you bust your butt for months to put yourself in a position to maybe play to a little bit of what is perceived to be a competitive advantage, but the reality of it is it doesn't ever play out that way. There's not a competitive advantage. It's all about matchups. It's all about lining up and outplaying the guy across from you, and certainly we know we have our hands full without question, but we're excited to be in the mix. We are every year.
Is it any extra special for you to be going back to Tulsa?
No, I love Tulsa, but I've been to Oklahoma enough. You know, I love my parents and everything, but you know, to me, all that means is more ticket requests and so I will tell you this: I'd much rather be in Tulsa than Oklahoma City because we haven't played very well at Oklahoma City. We actually played well in Tulsa last time we were there.
What's the team's schedule like for the next week?
Well, we practiced. We were off. You know, we had the opportunity to take a day off a little sooner than expected this past week. So we were off Friday. We practiced pretty hard yesterday and today. And tomorrow we will go light. And then Tuesday, I don't know what we'll do yet, but we'll be something. But probably not too strenuous, and then we'll get right back into it on Wednesday. But we're gonna practice, but I just don't know if it'll be, knockdown, drag out type practices, probably until Wednesday.
Anything else? You got some veterans, I mean, guys that were on that doorstep last year at the Elite Eight that kind of use that as motivation all the way back at Big 12 Media Day and stuff. Does that add anything to this run or what you're preparing to do, knowing that those are the leaders of this team?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think it'll help. It can't hurt to, and we do have good leadership and certainly, everybody that's gonna play significant minutes has at least been through it a little bit, with the exception of Josh. And I think this will be new for Josh too, being able to put himself in a position where, here's the reality of the tournament is you gotta have fun, you gotta play loose. And sometimes that's difficult to do if you know that it's a one and done type scenario. So the teams that's able to balance that, to be intent, competitive, loose, fresh, still play with a purpose, those are the teams that usually play the best. And last year, we actually did a great job in the NCAA tournament. We did play well in our last game, but the first 3 games, I thought we really handled it well.
What kind of response do you expect from Josh after the TCU game?
Well, I think he'll respond favorably. He was down. Obviously and he understood. I mean, he's a smart kid without question. So I think he'll respond very favorably moving forward.
Is there some reassurance from the fact that in some big games like against Kentucky that he has shown?
Yeah,
shine?
yeah. I mean, Josh Jackson has probably played about as consistently as any player in the country, I would say, the last 2 months. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, but I think 17 out of 19 games or 18 out of 20, he scored 14 or more points, and that's not what he does. What he does is all the other things, and then the points come as he does all the other things. And so, I have every reason to believe that he'll handle everything very well.
Were you joking about being a maniac in practice, or were you really?
I was joking.
Were you really?
Oh, I think the last 2 practices have been pretty intense, probably the most intense practices we've had probably in the last month or so.
All right, Coach.
Anybody else? Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you.